Hi, my name is Chris M. Walker, and I want you to be free. Today's video is going to be a little bit different, but it's important that we talk about this because it's a crucial factor to being free and to attaining the type of freedom that you deserve. It's going to be a little bit uncomfortable for a lot of people, but the truth is, until you accept this and begin taking control of it, you're never going to have any of the other types of freedom like financial or mental or health or anything else until you get this concept down and start improving on it. None of that's going to matter. Nothing you do is going to matter. You're not going to get any other type of freedom until you realize this one thing and start implementing it into your life. So what does any of that have to do with Elon Musk and my Twitter account? Well, keep watching and you'll find out. So even though we like to think that we're not, human beings are really just incredibly advanced animals. We have abilities that no other organism that we have encountered, at least yet, have, including we can predict the future, meaning we can think about doing something before we do it and consider the consequences of what might happen by doing it. No other animal on Earth has that ability. We can look at art and appreciate it for a lack of utility, meaning it's just valuable because it's beautiful. We can do things that are not in our interest of survival. Every other living thing on Earth does everything it does in order to survive and procreate. We will often do things that are not only not helpful in that regard, but will actually go in the opposite direction. And that may sound like a bad thing, but it's one of the things that makes us unique. And it's one of the reasons that we are the dominant species on this planet. It's actually really beautiful when you think about the abilities that we take for granted every day that literally nowhere else, as far as we know at this point anyway, in the universe exists. So that's wonderful, but there is a downside to it. And that downside is that, like the other living organisms, animals, whatever, on this planet, we are still very much affected by outside stimuli that are not within our ability to control. We will react to it from the primitive part of our brain just like any other animal and set aside all those wonderful things I just talked about that make human beings unique. And the reason for that and the problem with it is that because of those abilities that we have, our technology has advanced far faster than our bodies and our brains and our genetics have. So what the problem is that people have found ways to use that technology that our advanced brains have allowed us to create to manipulate us to their own gain, to get responses to stimuli that they know that we're going to have, and get it to benefit their outcome rather than our own self-interest. And that's because we will completely ignore that advanced part of our brain that lets us predict the future and do all these other wonderful things. And instead, we will just react to that stimuli just like another animal or an organism or anything else. And that's a problem. We can't be free until we start to understand that. The other problem to that is that we can't control it. We are going to have an emotional reaction, instinctual reaction to outside stimuli, whether we want to or not. Some of you may think that that doesn't apply to you, and some people think that they're too enlightened for that, but you're wrong and I'm right. You are not able to control your emotions. You're not able to control your emotions, and you are going to respond to outside stimuli. But, and here's the important part, what you can control and what you must control if you want to be free is the way you react to that outside stimuli. So let me explain. Imagine that you're in a bar, which in itself is a bad decision in the first place in a lot of cases. But imagine you're in like this crowded bar and some drunk asshole is stumbling around and he bumps into you and he spills his beer and your beer all over your clothes and all over your phone. You are going to get angry. There's nothing you can do to prevent yourself from being angry. That's the response to that outside stimuli. But what you can do is control the reaction to that anger that you have. So you are faced with a unlimited number of ways that you can react in that situation to that particular emotional stimuli. You can punch him in the fucking mouth and knock him out. It starts a big bar brawl. Everybody gets arrested. You end up spending the night in jail. That's one way you could react. Another way you could react is to just let him go on his way, dry your phone and your clothes off, and get back to whatever you were doing. Another thing you could do would be to go to the bartender or the manager or whoever runs the place, point out that this guy is drunk and, causing problems, and tell them to call him an Uber or a cab or whatever and get him home safe rather than him driving home and killing somebody. So there are a lot of different ways that you can react, and Nothing is positive or negative, but I think it's pretty clear that some of those lead to better outcomes for you than others. So while you are going to get angry, you cannot stop that. You can control the way you react to something, the way you react in that situation, and use that advanced brain of yours to predict what action will lead to the outcome that most benefits you. See, that's where the freedom comes in. The freedom from our lizard brain is when we can understand our reactions and then make the best decision on how to react to that stimuli. This isn't some sort of tough love, you're responsible for everything kind of message I'm trying to give you. It's just a fact. It's the way our brain works, and it's the way that we can get the largest positive outcome from it. What does any of that have to do with Elon Musk and my Twitter account? Did my Twitter account really get banned by Elon Musk? No, of course not. That was clickbait. I took something that was trending in society, exaggerated it, played on that reaction that I knew it would cause, and used it to stimulate a reaction out of the people watching this. Now, I'm sorry if you find that offensive, and I expect many of you will, and I'll get negative feedback on this video, but I don't care, because it was an important way to make a point, and it helps not only prove the message that I'm trying to convey here, it helps to get you to listen to that message. The truth is, clickbait is one of the lowest forms of manipulation, but it also works. It's one of the most effective ways to elicit a response from someone. I wish that wasn't the case, but it is, and in order for the world to be the way it should be, you have to first accept the world the way it is. And I imagine most of you feel the same. You wish that clickbait didn't work, that negative political ads didn't work, that email pop-ups on a website that take up the whole screen didn't work, but they do. And the only way to make them stop working is for us to control our reaction to them. If we can stop for a second and go, why would this guy with 10,000 followers on Twitter get banned by the richest man in the world? And he can't possibly care about him. Or if you just thought for a second that you don't care whether I got banned or not, because it really doesn't affect you. Or whatever you did, if you would take a few seconds to respond to a piece of clickbait, to a negative political ad, to a pop-up, or whatever it is that stimulates you to have a reaction that leads to a poor outcome for you, but maybe a better outcome for someone else, and instead do something that actually is positive for you, whatever you think positive might be, then those things will stop working. And if we as a group and as a society continue to make them less effective, people will stop doing it and we'll all be better off. But that's a bit beyond the scope of this video. What I want you to start doing is taking those extra few seconds when something stimulates a reaction out of you, thinking about the possibility of what your reaction to that stimuli is going to be. Like I said, you can't control the fact that things are going to stimulate you and cause certain emotional reactions. We just aren't at that stage in our physical evolution yet, but we can control the decisions we make in response to those emotions. And if you want to be free, if you want financial freedom, physical freedom, mental freedom, emotional freedom, you're going to have to get better at this. No one's ever going to completely eliminate it. But the more time you spend working on yourself and doing the hard work and being self-aware, and the better decisions you make, the better your life is going to be and the more free you're going to be. So this was probably a pretty short video, and I'm sure it pissed some people off, and it's different than what we're doing, but what we've been doing. It's going to be consistent with what we do going forward. If you enjoy this, it's an important message. I hope you'll start implementing it. Let me know in the comments how much you hated this. And, how much you now hate me. I'm sorry, but again, I'm trying to do what I think is right and trying to help as many people as I possibly can get the type of freedom they deserve. And then while you're in those comments, do me a favor, like the video and subscribe to it, and then share it with your friends and family and people you don't like, basically, so I can continue to make this kind of content that helps you get in the vehicle and go to further down the path to freedom, which is what we all deserve. So again, my name's Chris M. Walker. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you found some value in it, and I'll see you in the next video.